It was a cold, windy night in the city. The streets were almost empty. Most people were inside their warm homes, away from the harsh winter air. Streetlights flickered weakly, and the sound of the wind echoed through the quiet roads. Zayan Khan, one of the richest men in the country, was returning from a long business trip. He sat in the back seat of his sleek black car, staring out the window. He was a man of few words. People often called him cold, serious, and distant. He didn't smile much. He didn't trust many. To the world, he was the emotionless billionaire. As the car turned down a narrow street, something caught his eye. "Stop," Zayan said firmly. The driver hit the brakes and looked back in surprise. Zayan never gave sudden orders like this. "What is it, sir?" the driver asked. Zayan didn't answer. He opened the door and stepped out into the freezing air. His expensive coat flapped in the wind as he walked toward the sidewalk. There, on the wet pavement, lay a young woman. She wasn't moving. Her clothes were thin, torn in places, and soaked from the melting snow. She had no blanket, no bag, no shoes, nothing. Her hands were red from the cold and her lips were pale. Zayan stepped closer and noticed something else. Her stomach was round. She was pregnant. His sharp eyes scanned the street. People walked. By some glanced at her and kept moving. No one stopped. No one cared. He stood there, silent for a moment. Something about the girl made him freeze in place. Maybe it was the way her hand was resting over her stomach, like she was trying to protect her unborn child. Maybe it was the fear in her face, even while unconscious. Zayan pulled off his coat and gently placed it over her. His hands, usually used for signing big deals, now shook slightly as he touched her shoulder. "Miss, can you hear me?" he asked, his voice soft but firm. No answer. Her eyelids didn't move. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. Zayan looked back at the driver. "Help me. We're taking her." The driver was shocked. "Sir, are you sure? We don't even know who she is." "I said help me." They gently lifted the girl and carried her into the car. Zayan's coat was wrapped around her, and he ordered the heater to be turned up. As the car sped through the city toward Zayan's mansion, he sat quietly beside the girl. She leaned slightly against his arm, unaware of who was helping her. He looked down at her face. It was dirty, her hair tangled, but there was something peaceful in her expression. Like someone who had fought too hard for too long and finally passed out from the pain. The driver glanced in the mirror. "Do you want to call the hospital, sir?" Zayan shook his head. "Not yet. Let the house doctor check her first." There was a long silence. The only sound was the soft hum of the car engine. Zayan looked out the window again, lost in thought. He had seen thousands of faces in his life, rich, powerful, fake, greedy. But this one was different. This girl had nothing. No money, no help, no strength left. Still, she had been out there alone, trying to survive. And somehow, that reminded him of something. Or maybe someone. Back at the mansion, the large iron gates opened and the guards looked confused. Zayan never brought anyone home. His life was private, closed. The staff at the front door rushed out as the car stopped. "What happened?" his housekeeper asked. Zayan didn't answer. He simply carried the unconscious girl in his arms, walking past the surprised faces and straight into the guest room. "Call the doctor," he said to his assistant. "Now." The staff exchanged looks but said nothing. Inside the warm room, Zayan laid the girl on the bed and covered her with a soft blanket. He stood there for a moment, watching her. Her hands moved slightly and her lips trembled. Still unconscious, but alive. The doctor arrived 10 minutes later. He checked her pulse, her temperature, and examined her carefully. "She's weak, very weak," he said. "Probably hasn't eaten in days. She needs rest, food, and warmth. And yes, she's pregnant. Early stages, I'd say. Can she stay here?" Zayan asked quietly. The doctor nodded. "Yes, but she needs someone to take care of her." Zayan said nothing. He looked at the girl one more time, then turned and walked out of the room. As the door closed behind him, he took a deep breath. Why had he done it? Had he He didn't know her. She wasn't part of his world, but still, something had made him stop. Something had made him care, and deep down, a part of him was afraid. Because when a man like Zayan Khan starts to feel something, it never comes without a cost. The next morning, the mansion was quiet except for soft footsteps. Zayan woke early, still thinking about the girl he found on the street. He couldn't stop asking himself questions. Who was she? Why was she alone and pregnant? In the cold? What had happened to her? Downstairs, the maid was preparing breakfast and the house was slowly coming to life. But Zayan didn't care about his usual routine. He wanted to know more about the girl. He walked to the guest room. The door was slightly open. Inside, the Yao girl was awake. Her eyes fluttered open slowly. She looked confused and scared. Zayan entered quietly. She noticed him and tried to sit up but winced in pain. "Please don't move too fast," Zayan said softly. She looked around the room. It was warm, clean, and quiet, very different from the cold street she had been on. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice weak and shaky. "You're safe," Zayan said. "My name is Zayan Khan. I found you last night on the street." She looked down, trying to hide her face. "Thank you," she whispered. Zayan noticed the sadness in her eyes. "What's your name?" "Aisha," she answered quietly. Zayan nodded, his face serious. "Aisha, can you tell me what happened? Why were you out there alone in the cold?" Aisha looked away, tears forming in her eyes. I don't want to talk about it," she said. Zayan understood. Sometimes the pain was too deep for words, but he had made a promise to himself. He would help her, no matter what. Later that day, Zayan called his assistant and said, "I want a full report on Aisha. Find out everything you can, and arrange for a private doctor to stay with her." His assistant was surprised but did not question him. He knew better than to argue with his boss. While the staff worked quietly, Aisha rested. The house doctor checked on her often, giving her medicine and food. Slowly, she gained some strength. Zayan did not visit her much, but every time he passed by her room, he stopped and looked inside. There was something about her that moved him deeply. Something he could not explain. One evening, Zayan sat alone in his study. The walls were lined with expensive paintings, but his eyes were far away. His mind was filled with memories. He remembered a time when he was young, before money, before power. He had a family once, a mother and sister who loved him. But they were gone now, lost to time and tragedy. Seeing Aisha reminded him of those days, of loss, of loneliness, of hope. For the first time in years, Zayan felt a strange feeling inside, compassion. The next day, Aisha woke to a soft knock on her door. Zayan entered with a gentle smile. "I've arranged everything," he said. "You don't have to worry about money or food or shelter. You will stay here as long as you need." Aisha looked surprised. "Why are you doing this for me?" she asked softly. Zayan paused, then said, "Because everyone deserves kindness, no matter where they come from." Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Mr. Khan," he nodded. "Call me Zayan." For the first time, a small smile appeared on his face. Days passed. Aisha's strength returned slowly. She shared little about her past, but Zayan respected her silence. One afternoon, while they were in the garden, Zayan asked carefully, "Aisha, if you want, you can tell me your story. I promise to listen." Aisha hesitated, then spoke softly. "I was abandoned. The father of my child left me when I needed him the most. I had no place to go, no one to help." Zayan's face tightened with pain. "I'm sorry," he said. She looked at him. "But here, you gave me hope." Zayan nodded slowly. "Hope is important. It can change everything." That night, as Aisha slept peacefully, Zayan sat by the window, looking out into the dark city. He thought about the future, about the child growing inside Aisha, about the new life he could help build. But one question stayed in his mind. What if someone came looking for her? Would her past catch up? Would danger come to his door? Zayan did not know, but he was ready to protect her, no matter what. The days passed quietly at the mansion, but Zayan's mind was restless. Aisha was getting stronger, and the baby inside her was growing. But something didn't feel right. One morning, Zayan noticed Aisha looking out the window with worry in her eyes. "Is something wrong?" he asked gently. Aisha hesitated. Then she whispered, "I think someone is following me. From my past." Zayan's eyes narrowed. "Tell me everything." She took a deep breath. "After my boyfriend left, I tried to survive on the streets. But a man kept coming to find me. He was angry and dangerous." Zayan clenched his fists. "Did he find you here?" "No, not yet," she said, voice trembling. "But I'm scared he will." Zayan stood up. "We will protect you. No one will harm you here." That night, Zayan called his security team. He told them to watch the house closely. Cameras were installed, guards were placed at every gate. Aisha felt safer, but the fear did not leave her heart. She confided in Zayan one evening, "I never thought someone like you would care about me." Zayan smiled softly. "People can surprise you." Days later, a dark figure appeared outside the mansion's gate. A man in a long coat, his face hidden in shadows. Zayan saw him on the security camera. "He's here," he said quietly. Aisha's heart pounded. She looked at Zayan. "What will you do?" Zayan stepped forward, his voice firm. "I will stop him. No one will hurt you or your baby." The next day, Zayan met the man in a private room of the mansion. The visitor's eyes were cold and angry. "I'm looking for Aisha," the man said harshly. "Tell her to come back. She owes me." Zayan stood tall. "She owes you nothing. Leave now or face the consequences." The man laughed bitterly. "You don't know who you're dealing with." Zayan didn't back down. "Try me." After the visitor left, Zayan turned to Aisha. "He won't come back. I promise." Aisha looked at him, tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Zayan. You saved my life." Zayan nodded. "We will face everything together." The mansion felt quieter than usual. Aisha sat by the large window, watching the rain fall softly outside. Her hands gently rested on her growing belly. She was grateful for Zayan's protection, but her mind was full of worries. Zayan entered the room quietly. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Aisha looked at him, eyes full of hesitation. "There is something I haven't told you." Zayan sat beside her, waiting patiently. "I didn't come here just because I was alone and scared," Aisha began. "There is a reason, a secret I have been hiding." Zayan's eyes showed concern. "Tell me." "Whatever it is, I want to help." Aisha took a deep breath and started. "Before I met you, I worked for a company, a big company. They promised to help me and my baby, but it was a trap." Zayan listened carefully. "They were involved in something illegal, something dangerous. When I found out, I wanted to leave, but they threatened me. That man who came here, he works for them." Zayan's face hardened. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" "I was scared. I didn't want to bring trouble to you. I thought I could handle it alone." Zayan took her hand gently. "You never have to face anything alone. Not now." That night, Zayan called his closest friends, people he trusted, and explained everything. They planned to investigate the company that threatened Aisha. Days passed as they gathered information. The deeper they dug, the darker the secrets became. Aisha watched Zayan work tirelessly. For the first time, she saw a side of him she never knew, a man willing to risk everything for someone else. One evening, as they looked at the files, Aisha asked quietly, "Why are you doing this for me? You don't owe me anything." Zayan smiled, tired but sincere. "Because I believe everyone deserves a second chance." Suddenly, the phone rang. Zayan answered quickly. It was a warning. "Stop looking into us, or there will be consequences." Zayan hung up, his face serious. "They know we're coming?" Aisha's heart beat faster. "What will we do?" "We keep fighting. We protect you and your baby." The next day, the mansion was filled with guards and cameras. Zion and his team prepared for the coming storm. Aisha stood by the window, clutching Zion's hand. "Thank you for believing in me." Zion nodded. "We're stronger together." But outside the safe walls of the mansion, danger was closing in fast. The company would not stop until they got what they wanted. The mansion was no longer just a home. It had become a fortress. Guards patrolled every corner and cameras watched every entrance. Zion knew the danger was real. The company threatening Aisha was powerful, and they did not give up easily. Aisha felt the tension in the air. She tried to stay calm for her baby's sake, but fear crept into her heart. "Zion," she said softly, "what if they come for us?" Zion held her close. "I won't let anything happen to you or the baby, I promise." Despite his words, Zion's mind was busy planning their next move. He had hired private investigators to find out more about the company's leaders. Every day, new information came in, painting a picture of a dangerous group involved in crimes beyond what anyone expected. One afternoon, a car slowly drove past the mansion gate. The guards noticed immediately and raised the alarm. Zion moved quickly to check the cameras. The car stopped near the main gate, but no one got out. Aisha watched nervously from the window. "Who are they?" she whispered. Zion frowned. "I don't know yet, but it's a warning." That night, Zion and Aisha sat in the study, surrounded by files and computers. The rain tapped softly on the windows, a quiet reminder of the storm. Outside, suddenly, a loud noise shattered the calm. A window at the back of the mansion broke. Guards rushed in, guns ready. Zion grabbed Aisha's hand and pulled her to a hidden room. "Stay here. Lock the door," he ordered. Aisha's heart pounded as she heard footsteps and voices. She could not see what was happening, but she could feel the danger closing in. Minutes. Felt like hours. Then silence. After a long wait, Zion returned. They tried to break in, but the guards stopped them. Aisha hugged him tightly. "I'm so scared." Zion kissed her forehead. "I know, but we will get through this." The next day, Zion decided to take action. He invited Aisha to come with him to the police. "We need protection and the law on our side," he explained. Aisha agreed, even though she was nervous. Together, they met with the police chief and shared everything. The chief listened carefully. "We will increase patrols and watch for any suspicious activity, but you must be careful." Zion nodded. "Thank you. We are ready to fight." Back at the mansion, Aisha started to feel stronger. She knew the road ahead was dangerous, but she was not alone. She looked at Zion and smiled. "Thank you for saving me, for everything." Zion smiled back. "You saved me too, from being alone." But even with the police involved, the enemy was still out there, and their next move would be bigger than anyone expected. The days after the break-in attempt were tense. Zion and Aisha knew they had to be more careful. The mansion felt less like a home and more like a prison. But there was something else troubling Zion, something he hadn't told Aisha yet. One evening after dinner, Zion sat quietly, staring at the city lights outside the window. Aisha noticed his silence. "Zion, what's wrong?" "You've been distant," she said softly. He took a deep breath. "There is something I need to tell you, something about why I helped you." Aisha's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" Zion looked down at his hands. "I wasn't always a cold man, but years ago I lost someone very close to me. Someone should have protected." He paused, trying to find the right words. "When I found you that night, unconscious in the cold, it reminded me of her. I saw a chance to save someone I didn't even know, to fix a mistake I made long ago." Aisha reached out and held his hand. "Thank you for trusting me." Just then, Zion's phone buzzed. It was a message from his private investigator. "Zion, read it carefully. They have found something important." Aisha stood next to him, curious. "What is it?" Zion's face turned serious. "The company threatening us. They have a secret that could destroy not only, but many innocent people." He turned to Aisha. "We must be ready for what's coming. This is bigger than both of us. The next day, Zion and Aisha met with his lawyer and the investigators. They looked at documents and photos, evidence of illegal activities, hidden deals and dangerous plans. Aisha felt overwhelmed but knew she had to stay strong. We can stop them. Together. Zion nodded. Yes, but it will take time and courage. That night, as Aisha rested, Zion stayed awake, thinking. His mind was filled with memories of the past and fears for the future. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Zion opened it carefully. A woman stood there, dressed simply but with strong eyes. "I'm here to help," she said quietly. Zion invited her inside. She introduced herself as Zara, a former employee of the company trying to harm them. Zara's story was shocking. She had left the company because she could not stand their lies and cruelty. "They are planning something terrible," Zara warned. "You must stop them before it's too late." With Zara's help, Zion and Aisha prepared for the next battle. They were no longer alone, but danger was closing in fast. And soon the truth would come out, changing everything forever. The mansion was quiet, but tense. Zion, Aisha, and Zara prepared for the final showdown. They had gathered enough proof to expose the dangerous company threatening them. Zion's heart beat fast. He thought about the night he found Aisha unconscious, in the cold. How fate had brought them together. Now everything was about to change. Early morning, they met with the police and trusted reporters. Zion showed them the secret files and evidence. The reporters listened carefully, their eyes wide with shock. "This is bigger than we thought," one said. Soon, news spread everywhere. The company's lies and crimes were exposed. Their leaders were arrested. The city was stunned. After the chaos, Zion and Aisha stood on the balcony of the mansion. The cold wind blew gently. Aisha smiled softly. "You saved me, but I think you saved yourself too." Zion looked at her, feeling a warmth he hadn't known in years. "You showed me what it means to care. I was a cold man, but you changed that." She reached for his hand. "We are stronger together." Days passed, and Aisha's health improved. She felt safe and loved. Zion started a new company, a charity to help people like Aisha, the forgotten and lonely. He realized that real power was not in money, but in kindness and trust. One evening, Aisha's baby was born, a healthy, beautiful girl. Zion held his daughter for the first time, tears in his eyes. "Welcome to the world. We will protect you." Their story became an inspiration to many. From a frozen street to a warm home, from loneliness to love, Zion and Aisha showed that hope can come from the coldest nights.